1,600-acre complex here with a lot of action going on. Short course racing happening here. There's a pool here. There's rock bouncers going on here. Ultra 4 going on here. Travis Pastrana and the Nitro cars are here. And as you can see, we have a beautiful RC track all prepped and ready to go as well. The debut of this event was 1 year ago, Mike, as you well know. It was a beautiful race. We had a lot of excitement. The best drivers in the world, and I'm talking about world-ranked drivers, were with us last year. They are back again this year, so great stuff right here that's coming our way. Here's a look at the studio. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, inside of the booth with us. I'm Ken Stout. That is Mike Garrison sitting right alongside. We'll have Scotty Ernst out there covering all the drivers. He travels the world with this stuff, but an exciting event here, $30,000 up for grabs.
Yeah, and like you were talking about last year, we saw all sorts of excitement and drama and all sorts. When you get this caliber of drivers all together and that much money's on the line, I mean, these guys are going to be going for each other, and I think when they say when the tone sounds, the friendship stops, and I think that's going to be more true than ever this year, especially when these guys get out there.
There might have been some friendships that ended last year.
I think you might be right. I think you might be right. And what I'm hearing from the drivers a little bit is this track this year is even faster, and the racing is going to be even closer. And I've already heard some guys throwing some words down and throwing it down at each other in the pits, so I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun for sure. Ryan Mayfield is back here with a chassis change. Of course, our defending champ, Mr. Wiggins, is back here. Had an incredible weekend here 1 year ago. As you see a little bit of the action that's out there. Scotty Ernst is going to fill us in a little bit more on the track, but the track is a good bit larger than it was last year as well. A number of doubles in here. Very, very fast. You and I had a chance to talk to Ryan Mayfield just a little bit this morning, and he said they're on throttle so long around here that fuel is a concern. They have just about 7 minutes worth of fuel in there because they are wide open throttle around here. So a very, very fast track with a lot of doubles in it. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the drama unfold. As I mentioned before, the third member of our team, and certainly just as important, if not more important, is one Mr. Scotty Ernst. He knows all of these players. He makes a living traveling around the world, keeping up with RC racing, and we'll kick it over there to him because he has a lot more about the event we're going to watch here today and tomorrow. Scotty?
All right, thank you very much, Ken. It is everything that you guys talked about. The anticipation, the excitement, it is all going down here for Visions 2023. The vibe that has been going on in the pits is just electric. This race is unlike any other race that we do, especially at this amazing complex that we're blessed to have a racetrack at. You've seen the pictures of the amazing racetrack. These guys are going to be going head-to-head for some serious cash money, and that's what's so unique. They always race for money when it comes to their contracts and bonus for winning a big race, thing like that. But when they got a chance to win money heads up each and every race and then a big payout, it takes it to a whole nother level. And if we rewind to last year, the little scuffle that Tessman and Mayfield had, it was the drama you kind of didn't expect in RC, but it was like intense. And those guys are here again to go head-to-head. As Ken had mentioned, this complex is amazing. You see the amazing track we have here, but that's not only what Visions is about. If you look here, this is the other half of Visions here in Jay, Oklahoma. This is the track where Travis Pastrana, the Nitro Cross Nitro Circus, are going to be doing their rally cars. And that's all included for all of us that are here, the racers. We get to witness that. And it just makes this such an epic event. The heads-up racing, the cash on the line. We get to watch full scale right in our back behind us off the driver's stand. It what makes the Vision race so special, and we hope you guys enjoyed. We are looking forward to bringing you the play-by-play lap after lap. We're going to throw it back to Ken and Mike.
Thanks a lot, Scotty. We appreciate all of that information. As we watch some of the cars out here, they have an open practice session here to get to knock the rust off, if you will, from overnight. But they were out here all day yesterday getting some seat time, some track time, if you will, and working this track in as well. As we go back to Tuesday, the track looked beautiful as everybody was setting up. Tuesday night, we were hammered with rain. So all that beautiful paint that you see on the track right there, it was completely gone come Wednesday morning. So the gang had to come out here and get that thing fixed back up. And once again, it looks perfect. We have to thank Joey Christensen and the Dirt Crew for doing a fabulous job with this track, and as we talked about, a good bit different. So funny, my perspective, Mike, as I came out here and looked at this, and, listen, it is what it is. I got to hit it in the head. I'm inexperienced when it comes to RC racing, short of what we did last year. And I came out and I looked at the track. I'm like, wow, man, this thing looks super cool, and it's going to be technical. They're going to have to hit these doubles. They're going to have to try to stop the cars, make the turn. It's going to be crazy is what I'm thinking in my mind, right? And I walk up to Mayfield. I'm like, wow, this track looks pretty wild. And he said, it's going to be super easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, for these guys, for a lot of these top guys, they would call this quote-unquote easy track, but I think it's going to make for some really great racing. And I know Joey and the Dirt crew, they've done a lot of work, and I know the Visions crew has done a lot of work as well. The track surface this year is a little bit different. Rumor is they've gone through, they got some fresh dirt on the track. So last year we saw a lot of random rocks and boulders and stuff like that popping up. I don't think we're going to see that as much this year. As you can see, some parts of the track breaking down a little bit already, or after practice and all that good stuff. But I think the track altogether is going to hold up a lot better than it did last year and make for a little cleaner racing.
Yeah, they've actually been farming clay out in the back. You can see the big track in the back that Scotty referenced a little bit earlier. That is, they've been running short course cars out there, the side-by-sides, and, of course, Pastrana will bring his 1,000-horsepower nitro cars out there as well. But all of that clay has been farmed and harvested with the rocks sifted out. So they were able to bring some of that over here. So I agree with you 100%. Should be a completely different atmosphere than what we saw a year ago. However, with that said, much to my surprise a year ago, these tracks do rut up. They do develop holes. It's all stuff that they have to pay attention to, possibly drive around or find a better way around the track if that is the case. So it can, they can grab a rut and flip one of these cars just like you can a big one.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We're looking right now. Looks like the Sportsman Nitro buggy, their first heat out on the track here. And it looks like, I believe that it's going to be Dylan Bottreger out front early on here in this one, 12 to 6:13 his pace here for their first qualifying session.
And, of course, as always, qualifying will dictate a starting position here for the sportsman categories. We have a number of different categories, and we'll have sportsmans, we'll have opens. We also have our invites, of course, the world-ranked drivers. And then we'll have both electric and nitro buggies as well. So a lot of different stuff going on here, and a good look at that double that I was talking about there as well.
Yeah, you were talking about fuel mileage a little bit earlier, and one driver that we didn't see last year that's here this year is the legend Adam Drake. And not only is Adam Drake a fantastic driver, he's got a ton of talent on the racetrack, but he's also a fantastic engine tuner, engine builder, and he has been known to go 10-plus minutes on a tank, which is not easy to do on any track. But it's definitely, if fuel mileage is going to be a player here this weekend, I think Adam Drake's got a big advantage already coming into this, as he's one of the few drivers that is able to get an engine to do that on other tracks. So perhaps he may be making a few pit stops, and that may put him in the running that ordinarily he may not be in.
So, you bring up a great point, no question about it. My first question would be is if he can go 10 minutes, is he making the same power that the other ones are making, or is it just because it's more efficient? I'd be really curious to know the answer to that. Well, I guess we'll find out what the answer is.
Yeah, that's right.
Here sooner or later, right?
Yep.
Just the way it goes. But, yes, I do love the fact that you referred to him. A legendary guy here in this industry for sure. And if you look at the chassis and the engines and the tire brands that these different racers are using, Drake is certainly one of those names when it comes to engines.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of these, you'll see a lot of these sportsman guys and stuff as well. It's pretty cool what Drake has done over the past couple of years. He's now he's opened up basically an engine break-in service, an engine mod service for anybody. Anybody can grab an engine from him and that kind of thing. So even some of these sportsman guys running his engines. And when you see him go out there and you see him run things like 10 minutes at a time and nobody else can do it, it's hard to deny where you want to get your engine from, that's for sure.
So the next question, oh, man, big tumble right there, ends up on all fours and able to continue on there. You also wonder, so is there a rule, is there a spec size fuel cell for these?
So typically at the most ROAR and IFMAR sanctioned events, the fuel tank has to be 125 cc's, and they do tech for fuel and all that. I don't know what the specs are. We'll have to find that out here for this weekend. But yes, technically they've got a pretty strict rule that they got to go by on the fuel tank size and all that kind of stuff. So if that rule is in place this weekend, that's definitely going to be hinder them a little bit. If not, I would imagine we're going to see some guys probably would maybe running some extra fuel filters, maybe throwing maybe a truggy tank in a buggy or something like that. Get a little extra fuel mileage, but yeah, see how it all plays out.
So as you can see here by our time and scoring up on the left-hand side of your screen there for our Sportsman Nitro Buggy Heat number 1. Time is running out here. Just about 50 seconds left inside of this one. Actually, it's counting up now, it would appear. So they're working on adjusting that for us. That is pit road here at Mid-America Outdoors. And a lot of stuff going on there as well, hoping to cover some of those stories specifically this year and a little more intently than we did last year. Certainly a very important part of this as some of the longer motos will come in here and have to refuel and go back out, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we saw last year, you were talking about the electric cars. They're going to be out there this year as well. And, you know, you don't think of fuel mileage when you think of the electric cars, but you got to think of the batteries. And the electric cars, just like the nitro cars, these guys are going to be on the gas all the time. So having a quality battery, making sure that thing is topped off, ready to go, and making sure you can make the full race. I mean, there's no coming in for a quick splash and go of fuel when you're driving an electric car. So You either make it or you don't. That's going to be interesting to see as well on this fast of a track.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll see how it all lays out here. There's a look at our pits, by the way. That big truck in the back is where we are sitting. It's where our booth is. Brandon and the gang coming out here and setting everything up. All the competitors are underneath the tent. They have tables in front of them where they can work on their vehicles and get things sorted out. Enjoy talking to some of these guys like a Ryan Mayfield and, making a chassis change. And I asked him, I said, what was that about? Was there, you're looking for performance? And he said, it's about business, right? So I figured that would be the answer, but you never really know where they're going with it because a lot of times business means I need to win, to continue my business. So, but he went over to Techno, which he was explaining to me is a relatively new company in terms of chassis out there. There's a lot of them out there that have been around, for a long, long time, but Techno about 10 years old. So, he said they welcome the information back from a seasoned racer like that. But he said the platform's completely different than the car he was running a year ago. Everything is different. So all of the notes, whatever notes he might have had that would apply towards the chassis they had last year, didn't no longer apply to the Techno chassis that he has to develop and work through now. So it's so cool to take a look at our track workers there, but so cool to hear how intricate these vehicles are.
Yeah, it really is. And, like you mentioned, like Techno RC is one. They literally started out making conversion kits back before, I'm going to say, quote, unquote, e-buggy, electric buggy was cool. They made conversion kits for random other brand nitro buggies to convert them to electric, and it was just kind of a fad that guys were doing here and there. And now here they are with, arguably one of the world's best drivers on their team and lining up for them. And pretty cool to see where they've come in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and a lot of different chassis out there for sure as well. For our invite drivers, the two guys that are on the Technos are Ryan Mayfield and, of course, the reigning champ, Jared Wiggins. So they'll be out there trying to relive what happened here a year ago. As we talk about Wiggins finishing up first, he is a reigning champ coming back here, and, man, it was a really tight battle. I mean, the points were extremely close as we were calling the end of that race right down to the very last lap, and a couple of positions changing a little deeper in the field, changing things up, and, teammates that are helping teammates. So it was very cool. Ty Tessman finishing up second overall a year ago, and Cole Ogden with a great effort here a year ago as well, finishing up inside of the top three. So a good effort as we take a look at some of the pit bike racing action that goes on here as well. There's elements everywhere, but the pit bike racing is serious.
Yeah, I watched these guys just a little bit last year, and when I think of pit bike racing, well, there you see right there, just trying to take him out in the last quarter before the checker flag. These guys, they ain't playing around. I think a pit bike race is some fun in the backyard. This ain't fun in the backyard. This is serious racing for these guys. I mean, this is wild, and some of the rigs they've got up there for the pit bike races is just as wild as well. And look at the crazy start, kind of like the Monster Energy Cup style start, up in the top and drop back down.
Good stuff for sure. We're going to take a quick break here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a full day of qualifying coming your way right here at Mid-America Outdoors for the 2023 Visions RC event, brought to you by A-Main Hobbies and HPI Racing. We'll be right back.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Ready for any challenge. Maxxis tires can handle even the most punishing off-road conditions. Maxxis tires. Tread victoriously.
Speedsport has been America's motorsports authority since 1934. Get news, results, and commentary from the most connected experts in the business, covering all forms of motorsports from flat track to NASCAR and everything in between. Bookmark speedsport.com on your mobile device now, or follow Speedsport on social, and be sure to subscribe to the Speedsport Daily. Speedsport is your one-stop shop for all things racing on two wheels and four.
And welcome back to Visions 2023, the RC event going on here at Mid-America Outdoors. You can see our drivers up there on the platform ready to go. That is pit road just down there below them. So that's where their crew members will put the car and send them off to get them down there on the track. Coming up here next will be the qualifier for Sportsman e-buggy, heat 1 of 2. I believe 5 minutes in length here for this qualifier, if time and scoring is giving us the correct information here. Looks like we have 11 players at least lined up here ready to go. Cars look pristine and beautiful.
That right there, I believe, is Taylor Janda, who I believe was our winner last year. I can't remember if that was in the e-buggy class or the Nitro buggy class for our Sportsman division, but back again this year. Got quite a few new drivers in our Sportsman and Open divisions this year that we didn't have on the track last year. Good to see some new talent out there.
Talk to me about the controllers. That's a great shot of one of the controllers there, and there's a couple of different styles. I forget who it was. Was it Phi Long Wen who has the joystick?
Yes.
Which is a little different?
Yes. So Phi is, I believe, the only driver here this weekend. Most drivers use it in what I would call a more traditional style radio like this. It's got the trigger for the throttle and the brake, and then you've got an actual steering wheel that you're turning left and right on the side of it. Phi is actually using a stick-style radio, which is more seen over in Europe and things like that you often think of when you think of remote control cars. You know, the one stick forward and back, the other stick is the steering. Not quite as common here in America with the racing scene, but Phi does a very good job of making that car get around the track very quickly using the stick radio.
Yeah, he bumped in last year. They asked him, would you like to be an invite driver? And he said, no. He said, I'd rather bump in. And I said, oh, yeah, he wants to make a grand.
That's right. That's right.
However, the danger is you don't bump in, right? So I don't know which way you want to go on that, but I found that interesting that was his take on it. A couple of the Sportsman guys going for a ride here. I also find it interesting here because I immediately think of car racing. That's my background. But this is a qualifying session, so I find it somewhat amusing that everybody took off right away with each other. I would think that I would probably let it breathe for a moment, go out and find some clean track and try to chase that, but they've kind of sorted themselves out now.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100% on that one. Definitely the ideal way to go about this is giving yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of track room, things like that, but hey, they just want to get the show started and put a show on for us, so they're jumping right out there all together.
That's good for us, right?
That's right.
It's fun to watch.
That's right. And as you can see, we were talking about the track a little bit earlier. Joey Christensen, Aaron Webb building this racetrack, doing a fantastic job and maintaining it as well. And we talked about the track may not have rocks and stuff like that in it, but it's already looking a little bit rougher and rougher, and as the day goes on, I think it's going to get even more exciting. These guys running their warm-up laps, getting checked in here. It looks like a few drivers not quite checked in.
So you talked about the difference in the consistency of the track, the dirt that seems to be a little bit different. In your opinion, will tire wear be an issue here at all?
It kind of depends. Right now, the track's still got a little bit of a loose surface on it, which it still looks soft to me, which I don't think tire wear is going to be super big factor just yet. If the track starts actually grooving up like we saw like on the big short course track and things like that, and they let the track go and kind of just dust it off and things like that, I could see tire wear being an issue. But another thing we got to look at as a lot of these bigger races, more traditional format may run a 45-minute, hour-long main, and yes, I think tire wear would come into that, but we're going to run a little bit shorter mains because we're running multiple main events. So I don't think tire is going to be a huge factor as far as wear goes, but I definitely think, just like any race, I think compound and tread pattern are probably – compound more than anything is probably going to play a part, especially as the temperature changes. Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty vicious contact right there. Again, a bunch of those in groups together. Of course, you can see the track workers out there to help the drivers immediately. If they do ball them up and end up on their lid, they'll grab the car and flip it over and get them going right away. Again, that is a great addition here. And typically, those are volunteers that come out here and help us out. We appreciate that.
It looks like one lap into this one. Boomer Wheeler going to be out front leading this one. Ian Morey in that number 2 spot. Frank Columbia in the 3 spot. Jason Morey in the 4 spot.
And I love the grouping. I mean, the top 4 are already in the 31-second zone. Ian Morey drops down into the 30s right here, but the grouping was already very close, within a couple tenths of a second.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's kind of like Mayfield was saying earlier on. This is going to be some very close racing, and tell you what, one wreck on this track or one major mistake, that's going to be a make or break situation. Last year, you guys, everybody was wrecking last year. So, you have one little bobble or something like that. It wasn't that big of a deal to make up time, but it's going to be difficult this year to make up time if you make a mistake or crash somewhere.
So this initially, or I'm saying eventually, as I learn how to speak here again, eventually we will turn this into a TV show. Our 3 mains for the invites tomorrow on Saturday will become a TV show on Speed Sport 1 that everybody will be able to watch. So in terms of that, along those trains of thought, as I was talking to Ryan Mayfield, and he said this track is a little bit easier. I do agree with you. It's going to be more competitive. It gets more people in the game as they're able to deal with a little bit easier track. The harder you make it, of course, it's going to separate the talent immediately. But this will allow some drivers that might not be as technical as some of the best in the world to keep up and keep pace. However, being on the throttle, becoming a fuel game, a strategy game possibly, it's going to change things up. But one thing's for sure, more people will be in the hunt here on this track, which will make it very exciting for us.
Absolutely, and it looks like Ian Morey going to be out front still here in this one. Morey leading the way with Boomer Wheeler in that number 2 spot. Ian Morey with a 28.9.
Wow, he just threw one down.
That was a super fast lap there for Ian. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Ian Morey, the son of Jason Morey, so we got a father-son battle here in this one. Jason sitting in the number 5 spot, Ian, his son, leading this one. Some trouble coming off the drop-off there.
Yeah, good stuff, man. He's got a bunch on the field right now. How about a little over 2 seconds? A little under 2 seconds now. Boomer Wheeler just throws one down at a 30.2, so he picked up some time there. 2.3 seconds, it looks like the gap here.
And Taylor Jander, we were talking about him, last year's winner. He's sitting in that number 4 spot, just dropped back out of the 3rd place spot there. Frank Columbia in the 3rd place spot.
Yeah, taking a look at this as the clock winds down here, and Q1 for the Sportsman e-buggies, their first heat of 2. Just about a minute left inside of this one. Watching Ian right now, currently at the top of the sheets, putting one together, nice and consistent. I love the fact that they'll learn how to hit these jumps and set up for the turn that's immediately following. Chopping off the track, apex at the bottom of the turns. I mean, it's exactly like big car racing.
And very similar to the full-scale racing, setups and things like that change all the time, and new developments and parts and all of that, always constantly changing. One thing I noticed with Ian's car and a lot of these guys' cars, especially in the invite class from last year, is the new latest thing is the rear wing on these cars. Everybody's trying to get these wings way up in the air. They've got a new style wing out that it seems like everybody's going to, and I see it here on Ian's car. Could it be making a difference? Is it just one of those things? You never know, but Ian's making it look good right now.
Well, they certainly fly nicely. I would think that it does have something to do with it. I find it humorous that you bring that up, though, because there's no rule. It's a new wing. It's higher. It's up in the clean air, if you will. In big car racing, typically the rule is the wing cannot be higher than the roof line. So something to think about there.
Well, that's definitely not the case here because a few of these wings are way up there in the air. Oh, trouble
Stuffed
there.
That one, yeah, just missed that jump a little bit and stuffed the nose of it in. Again, Ian Morey still out front here as this session is winding down.
Looks like with that crash there, Ian going to drop back to the number 2 spot. Boomer going to take the win.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers, though. If you look at, I don't quite understand the time and scoring. Ian still shows a 28.9 to Boomer's 30.27. So not real sure what's going on there. And then a 30.15 for Frank Columbia.
So basically what we're looking at there, we're looking at our fast lap times. The qualifying time here, Boomer Wheeler, he finished up with 10 laps at 5 minutes and 10 seconds.
It's an overall.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so Ian Morey there with that crash dropped back to a 10 laps at 5 minutes, 13 seconds. There you see
so
the
a different
drivers.
way of doing it. Yeah, typically you would grab a fast lap out of normal motorsports qualifying, but this an overall. Love that. I love the twist in this sport that makes it a little bit different. So one with a ton of speed, but risk versus reward when you're hanging it out like
Absolutely. That. Good look there at our A-Main Hobbies, HPI Racing, our title sponsors here this weekend. They've got a really cool display set up, all sorts of their different vehicles lined up, and a test track over there. We saw some a wide variety of people over there at the test track, including some of our own RC racers getting the action in with the rally cars. They went and watched the big rally cars on the track yesterday. Then they went and took the rally car and they took it around the test track. So they got their fill of rally car racing yesterday.
I love the off-road trucks. They're super cool as well, man. A little monster truck action over there, something for everybody. And it's not just kids, as you can see. I mean, the adults have a blast doing these. You can't go buy one. You have to buy at least two so you can race whoever you have at home.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. One of the most commonly asked questions is, what do these people do? You know, these guys, especially like in the invite class, what do they do for a job? And what people don't realize is this is their job. You know, these guys, a lot of these guys are making their living racing these RC cars. So it's just like any form of racing. It gets serious. It's like lawnmower racing. Hey, there's pro lawnmower racers.
Yeah, it's a massive industry. I mean, if you take a look at it worldwide, it's a huge number, and these manufacturers can sell their vehicles, you know, to the masses, just like a car manufacturer, if you will.
Yep.
And car manufacturers have factory drivers, so they have the same thing. They have factory drivers that are out here, and some of these guys making six figures a year, traveling around the world, racing RC cars. It's super cool. It's also a different lifestyle. It's not necessarily for everybody. You find yourself on the road, and matter of fact, we have one of our veterans out here, I believe, making is making his final run. It's going to be his last year, you know, on the tour. So it takes a lot out of you. It's tough on the family when you're traveling all the time to go to races, just like the big cars as well. So it's a sacrifice that everybody has to make, but in a lot of cases, they would look at you and say it's way better than a real job.
That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Our Sportsman e-buggy heat number 2, taking the track, warming up here. Yeah, and of course, you're talking there about Jared Tebow, JTP RC, announced his retirement. This will be his final year for making some of the major events. He finished up his last Roar 8-scale national championship here this past couple weeks. A lot of these drivers fresh off the Roar Nats. Of course, Dakota Finn taking the win in the 8-scale Nitro Buggy Championship. He is here this year, which he was not here last year. It'll be exciting to see him and how he throws it down with some of these other drivers as well.
And another broad look there at the track. I don't know the actual distance. I don't remember what the distance was last year, but it is a good bit larger than it was last year. In fact, the test track, if you will, or, you know, for the hobby track over there, if you wanted to go over there and drive one of these things and have a little bit of fun, that section of the course last year is now part of our racetrack. So it's that much larger.
Yeah, and I think that's going to make a big difference. Last year was an exceptionally small track compared to what a lot of these guys are used to running on with the 8-scale vehicles. And this is a little more normal size for a lot of these guys. And I think that's going to make the racing even better than it was last year, which is hard to believe, as yet last year was pretty intense. But we get set to go here with Sportsman e-buggy heat number 2. These drivers getting off and underway. That early TQ time set by Boomer Wheeler in that first heat. Of course, by TQ, referring to our top qualifying time for round 1 of qualifying here for these drivers.
And once again, as we talked about before, as they turn them loose here in about 30 seconds, and the time the clock will officially start counting for them, much to my surprise here, if you were listening early on, it's not just one fast lap. It is a combined time for the 5-minute session. So it's so important to put in some good, clean, consistent laps here for the entire 5 minutes. It's everything.
Yeah, and it's always difficult, especially when you're new to the world of RC, kind of how to explain what we call IFMAR qualifying. IFMAR being the world sanctioning body for the world championships. It's basically the most amount of laps in the shortest amount of time in a 5-minute time span, or however long the qualifier is. And like I say, Boomer Wheeler was that top qualifier that last one. He had a 10-lap run at a 5:10 pace. We'll see what these guys got as they start working their way around. Looks like Dylan Bontrager going to be possibly out front here. We saw him out with the Nitro Buggy in race number 1. He's back out with the e-buggy here in race number 3. So he was running Sportsman Nitro Buggy. He's running Sportsman e-buggy as well. Nicholas Logan and Michael Forrest in that number 2 and 3 spot. John Cayley's in the 4 spot. Jeff Crane in the 5. Still a lot of racing left to go here for these drivers. 3 minutes, 15 seconds here for our Sportsman e-buggy heat number 2.
Starting to air these things out a little bit, a little smoother course. You can see them putting these laps together and getting things sorted out. As we talked about, they did have a full day of practice out here yesterday to get some seat time, make some adjustments to the cars. Of course, get themselves competitive as well. Going back to the controller, how much information is on the face of that controller? Let's say for the electric cars, does it tell them how much battery is left?
Most of the cars do not. There are some telemetry systems out there that More commonly found in a lot of the ready-to-run systems, more kind of the what you call a basher or play cars that you take in your backyard and stuff like that. Have some more information like speed and things like that. A lot of your race guys aren't going to run a lot of that kind of stuff. More of the information on the controller is you can set your different settings as far as like on the fly. If you want to adjust your brakes and your radio, how strong they come on. If you want to go adjust your throttle control, steering control, your trims to make sure everything's steering straight and all that kind of stuff. That's your primary things that you've got on the radios. But, however, there's some new companies coming out with some of these radios that you can literally watch TV and you can watch YouTube apps on your RC car radio while you're driving an RC car if you wanted to. So, I mean, the technology is endless. It's beyond wild.
Yeah, clearly out of my league to watch TV and try to drive an RC car. That's pretty impressive to say the least. Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, we have a couple at home that we play with from time to time, and I'm astonished at how good these drivers are. It's mind-boggling. These are the sportsman category guys, so you're going to see, some bobbles, some mistakes here that they make. But when you watch the invite people come out of here, and a number of the open drivers as well, I mean, they are flawless, lap after lap after lap, just continue to hit their marks, find the short way around the course, and just nail it every single time. It is incredibly impressive.
Well, it looks like we're looking here at Dylan Bontrager, your race leader here in this one, as he is out front trying to set a new top qualifying time over Boomer Wheeler out of that last race.
A little bit quicker, by the way. I mean, in terms of a single lap at a 28.5, we saw a 28.9 before, so a little more speed there. Another 29.5 here out of Nicholas Logan. So the overall time there, as they continue on here, this one counting down, just 30 seconds left. In fact, under 30 seconds as we talk here for this qualifying session. Group number 3.
Yeah, looks like Forrest in that number 2 spot. Oh, Nicholas Logan jumping up to the number 2 spot that last time around. Forrest in the 3 spot. Bontrager, pretty smooth race here in this one. He works his way down the front straight. I tell you what, I got a feeling the end of that front straight, it's already getting a little bit rough from the rain that you talked about earlier this week. And coming off that drop-off, I got a feeling by the end of this weekend, those 2 spots are going to be key points of this racetrack as they are already rough and already kind of breaking down, and I think it's only going to get worse.
So, yeah, hitting those things at speed. I mean, the cars are really moving right there when they go down to that step down and hammer it hard, so you could develop a hole there. By the way, the white chalk there for the fans that are new here will eventually be our starting positions.
Looks like this one is finishing up. Dylan Bontrager's going to take it at 11 laps at a 5:21. That is one full lap faster than Boomer Wheeler. So Dylan, for round 1 of qualifying, going to be your fastest sportsman e-buggy driver.
Congratulations to him. Great effort there. And looks like we're doing a little bit of track maintenance there. I'm guessing that is Sean Miller.
That is indeed Sean Miller. That's going to be our starter this weekend, part of the Dirt and Jimmy Babcock crew. Jimmy Babcock, of course, our race director here this weekend, up in the score tower, getting the racers all the information they need, keeping the race program running up there. Well, there's our qualifying results from that one. Dylan Bontrager with the win, 11 at a 5:21. Nicholas Logan coming in that number 2 spot with a 10.507. Michael Forrest, 10 at a 5:12. John Caley's, Brian Johnson rounding out your top 5, followed by the rest of the field there for Sportsman e-buggy here from the 2023 Visions RC here at Mid-America Outdoors. Brought to you by A-Main Hobbies and HPI Racing. A lot of racing left to go here.
And once again, as you can see, we're keeping an eye on some of the pit bike action that goes on around this complex. We'll treat you with some beautiful scenery shots from time to time. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here with more qualifying action from the 2023 Visions RC Nationals.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. Run with us.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to 2023 Visions RC. A-Main Hobbies and HPI Racing helping us put this one together as some of the players are up there getting ready to throw down. Some of the best in the world. Ryan Mayfield over there with the Techno shirt on as you take a look at some of those guys. And Ryan came in here ranked number 1 in the world a year ago. I believe ranked number 3 now, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of the world. But ranked first here in the U.S. That's something we were talking about. They have a U.S. ranking now as well.
Yeah, Ryan is, like you said, made the switch over to Techno this year. And the driver coming up on the driver's stand right there, one we cannot count out this year, that is TLR's Dakota Finn. And Dakota Finn was not here last year, but he is coming off a fresh Roar 8-Scale National Championship win only a few weeks ago. And he's always been a contender, that's for sure. But he has had a phenomenal year. They call him the Phenom. So
yeah, right. I mean, that says a lot. Ranked number 1 in the world, ranked number 2 in the U.S., back-to-back national championships, so has all the resources of TLR and J Concepts behind him, so extremely talented with great equipment. And we were talking about young Pheelong Wen and using the joystick radio, if you will, and there's a good look at it right there.
Yep, Fee standing there. He is ready to go. And as you can see, Fee standing on the milk crate, just a little bit shorter than the other drivers. And just next to him there, another driver that is new this year for S-Works and J Concepts, Joe Bornhorst, joining us. Another contender that he was running really well yesterday in practice, had some good laps times, but he was putting down, looked consistent. That's the main thing. Over speed, he had a lot of consistency yesterday. He says the car is feeling good. So, of course, Mason Fuller there for HB Racing as well, in between Pheelong Wen and Ryan Mayfield. Rivkin, there's Adam Drake with Mugen Siki, Ty Tessman, and, of course, Jared Tebow. Tebow making a switch as well. He was here last year on the Techno team. He has made the switch to Miyako this year, his JTPRC team. And there's Cole Ogden, the HB Racing driver. Although Cole did not make a chassis change, he did make one change from last year. He cut his mullet off. He does not have a mullet this year. So we'll see if that affects his performance at all on the racetrack.
So Scotty Ernst is back up and running. He is over there with that line of amazing drivers. Scotty, what do you got, buddy? So, unfortunately, technical difficulties there with Scotty, so we'll work on that just a little bit and get him worked back into the mix as we kick this this session off here, get him some warm-up laps, take a look at the speed here for our Nitro cars. And once again, we think we've got Scotty back here. So, Scotty, we'll kick it over there to you, buddy.
All right, we're here in the driver's stand. The Gladiators are behind us, right to behind me here. That Jared Wiggins, your defending champion. This is their final practice. They had some practice runs yesterday. Track's changed a little bit. They've adjusted a couple of the jumps here overnight, trying to make it flow a little bit better. So this is the last chance these guys to really get out there and make their final adjustments and find out what they're going to do. Ken and Mike, you guys have talked about the track conditions and things like that quite a bit different than last year. Think it's going to make for a much more racier event, if you can even have that. After last year, it was pretty amazing. But I think this year, with the 180s and things like this, the hairpin right coming onto the straightaway, it's going to make it for some exciting racing here at the 2023 Visions. Back to you, Ken.
Thanks a lot, Scotty. Yeah, some amazing drivers down there. So cool to have this level of talent come out to this event. That's what this event does, though. I mean, here at Visions, they had bull riding here the other night, and it was some of the top riders in the world that show up here. That's a Jason Robinette theme, no question about it. If it shows up here, it's as good as it can get.
Yeah, so a little looks like a 7-minute practice session here for our invite guys. A good look at what we're going to see in our invite classes and the racing action here before too long. We're following a variety of these drivers around. There you see Joe Bornhorst, Cole Ogden, Jared Tebow in his new Miyako car.
Yeah, Bornhorst's first appearance here at Visions. S-Works factory driver looking for a 2023 breakout win. See if we can get it done here. Of course, if he can, it'll bring along some big money with it. $5,000 to win the overall. If you can get the clean sweep here, they'll tack another $5,000 on there. So a lot of money up for grabs, as we talked about, that $30,000. I think if you've got the clean sweep, if I'm not mistaken, it's upwards of $14,000, $15,000 for the weekend, because you get wins for each one of the or money for each one of the A-main wins as well. So a lot of money up for grabs here. These people are dead serious about what they're doing.
Not a bad weekend for racing RC cars.
No, not a bad weekend, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Well, our sprint car racers out there would love a $15,000 payoff.
That's right. That's right. Well, they were looking at Joe Bornhorst right there. The red and yellow S-Works. He works his way through the infield. And as we said yesterday, he had some smooth, consistent laps. I don't know. Looking at lap times a little bit yesterday. Don't know that his lap times were necessarily the fastest that we saw on the racetrack, but very smooth, very consistent. He's looking the same. There you see the end of the front straight, already starting to get a bit rough.
Yeah, so another hole right there in the center of the track as well. Oh, right in front of right in front of Joe. They threw that car out there in front of him. But I was just going to make a point of what Joe was doing there. As you watch Joe, I mean, he was hitting all of his marks perfectly. Watch these drivers in comparison to the Sportsmen. And the Sportsmen are cutting their teeth. They want to get up to this level. So certainly not knocking those drivers by any stretch of the imagination. But we want to point out the level of driver that we're watching here. As you watch them nail the apexes through here, carry a ton of speed, set up in the air, I mean, right down at the bottom, they go perfectly. And every single one of these turns, they're just spot on with their entry points and their exits and carrying a ton of speed to the center of the turn. It's amazing to watch them do it time and time again, and that is the big difference. So, bump right there that just upset that car a little bit.
Yeah, and like you say, these guys are hitting the perfect line over and over and over, and the consistency is wild for these guys. Here we're looking at Cole Ogden. Ogden, a player last year as well.
Yeah, finished third overall. He had a great session out here, did Cole Ogden, finishing up 4th, 2nd, and 6th in the 3A mains. It was a solid event for him.
Looks like he's struggling just a little bit here, getting his car dialed in. There we look at Ty Tessman, followed there by Dakota Finn. Now we're looking at Dakota Finn. Finn, the Phenom, the TLR driver. Down the front stretch, he goes onto the right-hand side of the track.
Yeah, he's certainly considered, Dakota Finn, we're talking of, certainly considered one of the fastest, most naturally talented racers in the world. Started racing at age 7, chasing the RC Dream. 2022, won the Roar there, 8th scale off-road champ in Nitro Buggy and Nitro Truggy. Also won 3 classes at the Off-Road Fuel Nationals. I mean, he is, it's great to have him out here. We thought he was going to be here last year. I remember doing some homework on him, but unfortunately did not make the call. Look at there at the Phenom, Dakota Finn. So expected to be a challenger, no question about it.
You know, one driver we haven't talked about yet that was here last year, I believe, bumped up out of the open class last year, is already in the invite class this year, who, looking at these fast laps that they're laying down right now, Mason Fuller, the HB Racing driver, he started as a young gun out of Iowa, maybe Nebraska. Same thing, right? Iowa, Nebraska?
It is Iowa, yes. Grimes, Iowa.
He's clicked off a 27.044 fast lap. The only driver to get close to that right now is team associated Spencer Rivkin with a 27.090. Looks like they're Ty Tessman with a 27.046. So Tessman laying down some fast laps as well here. Now we're looking at Ryan Mayfield.
It is pretty cool because they all kind of morph down there until they end up close to each other. It might take them a couple extra laps to get there, but it's pretty amazing to watch them get there. I think we've got about a minute left in this practice session.
Ryan Mayfield working his way around here. Jared Tebow just clicked off his fastest lap at 27.062 for Tebow. Ryan Mayfield, Jared Tebow, two of those drivers that literally have grown up racing together.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of these drivers having a great show here a year ago. Ryan Mayfield did not have a great one. He kicked things off as he won the first A main, but after that had some issues. I believe was in a wreck or had a failure, if I'm not mistaken. I think a wheel fell off for whatever reason. Not sure what caused it, but he just did not have a good day last year. So we'll expect him to be right back in the fray here again as well.
Yeah, looking at his lap times right now. His fast lap at 27.2, so a couple tenths off the fast lap. Oh, it looks like Mayfield's car is dead there. Before the double, that's Rivkin there flamed out, and there's Mayfield's car. So I don't know if Mayfield may be having some issues trying to dial some things in, but that's what this last-minute practice session is for these guys. There we're looking at Phelong Win. There is last year's champion, Jared Wiggins, Techno RC driver.
Wow. So he landed hard. There's a little bit of a rebound right there, and in that rebound, he actually rotated that thing into the right-hander. I do agree with you as we continue to watch this. That's the hole I was talking about before as well. But as they land and smack that hard, there's definitely going to be some damper adjustments to get set up for that right-hander.
Absolutely. And, yeah, like you say, Wiggins, incredible control of that race car. There is his dad there pitting for him here this weekend. His girlfriend, Katie Roxbury, also here as well. She is going to be running in the open classes, I do believe. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe Dakota Finn clicked off a 26-second lap just before the session ended there, which would have been the fastest of the session.
So as they prep this track here a little bit more, they've had a good look at it here today, including one Mr. Dakota Fend. And Scotty Ernst, you have Dakota down there. Let's get his thoughts on how this track is performing and what he thinks is going to go down.
I thank you, guys. We're down here on the driver's stand. Dakota Fend. Dakota, last practice is in the books. Tell us how your car is and how's the track feeling.
I think this is the best my car has been. Well, I think we're liking the wet track out there, so hopefully that keeps up. Looks like we're getting water for most of the qualifiers and mains and stuff. So yeah, everything's good. Looks like after last practice that mileage might be playing a role. I saw a couple people run out, so it's a pretty wide open track. And yeah, I mean, the plan was just do one pit, but some people might be having to do two, and it'll kind of change it up a lot. So we'll see.
That doesn't happen a lot normally in our races nowadays, so that definitely throws another curveball at this event.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, mileage is always important. I think we're getting pretty good mileage, so it puts us in a good position. And maybe my goal is kind of maybe just stay out a little bit longer and get some good track position and then come in a little bit later in the race.
All right, best of luck this weekend. Thanks a lot.
Cool, thank you.
All right, there you go. Dakota, he's ranked number 1 in the world. Just had a great run a couple weeks ago, taking the win at the U.S. Nationals. So we'll see what Visions 23 has in store for Dakota. Back to you, Ken and Mike.
Thanks a lot, Scotty. Yeah, looking forward to that, and he brings up a great point. We've been talking about the mileage there, so he thinks maybe a one-stopper could get away with it, possibly a two-stopper. Who knows, as looks like some of the Nitro cars are out there slinging around on a very wet track, watering our track down as well. They have a practice session over there with the Nitro cars all day long, so they'll be looking to work those things in. Amazing feats of art, those cars. I actually want to get up close and personal, but I saw Dreyer and Reinbold over there. I mean, we're talking about IndyCar level race teams that are going to throw down over here, and a couple different levels as well. The all-wheel drive cars dealing with that racetrack. The S's over there are vicious. It might be difficult to see here, but the elevation change there is massive. That is on the side of a big hill.
Yeah, and yesterday watching some of those guys, Travis Pastrana throwed his twist on the track with the big uphill triple section that he's got. And I tell you, when those guys come up a little short on that uphill triple in a rally car, that hurts a little bit more than it does in an RC car, I bet.
Yeah, no question. So they'll be throwing down here. Tomorrow is their big race, along with ours. We'll have our 3 A-mains tomorrow for the invites. And that is what will be cut up for the TV show on Speed Sport 1. It'll be 3 short A-mains as we have some of our competitors coming back out here getting ready.
Well, they're taking the stand here. That's NFL player right there, former NFL player Reggie Tung, taking the driver's stand there, the Techno shirt. Of course, the S-Works driver, Brandon Rose, lined up there. So we're getting ready to go here for Open Nitro Buggy round 1 of qualifying. So how this is going to work, we got 2 heats. After the 2 heats are finished up, the fastest qualifier out of those 2 heats is going to go on to the invite class.
Camden Line, one of our bump-up drivers there as well. He'll be inside of this session. We'll see if he can get it done again. Grabbed a cool $1,000 because of that, and of course a shot at the big money.
And right there next to Camden is Katie Roxbury. We're talking about her, Jared Wiggins' better half. Of course, last year's invite winner. So Katie racing the open class, trying to work her way up into the invite class.
How about that? That would be interesting.
That would. Especially because I believe last year Katie pitted for Jared.
On the car, wasn't
yeah, so
she was
what do you do at that point?
Yeah, I guess you look at him and say you're on your own, pal.
Yep.
Let's see if you can win it without me. I'm going to go over here and try to beat you. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Well, great look at the track there. You can see the A-Main HPI Racing demo track over there with the hay bales.
The conditions so much different here than it was a year ago. I believe we were here in July last year. It was brutally hot.
Yes.
Very humid. Everybody just dealing with wicked heat, even underneath the tent, working on the cars. It was just a tough day, a tough couple of days, I should say, for everybody. However, today, this week, it has been much cooler here. We're a month earlier, of course, and a little bit of overcast as well, which will keep some of that heat away. It'll also help the track out just a little bit from the sun beating on it. Looks like some Kool-Aid there.
Yeah. I wouldn't drink it. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid. as we go back out there and take a look at some of the Nitro car action. Monster-sponsored machine there. Heard Connor Daly of IndyCar fame, speaking of IndyCar, is going to be competing out there. However, I believe no longer one of the news drops here in the past week or so is no longer with Ed Carpenter Racing. Ryan Hunter-Ray is back on that team. Well, we turn our RC cars loose here.
This is going to be our Open Nitro Buggy Heat number 1. So winner out of this heat will be early on top qualifier for the round. We've got one more heat to go to see if anybody else can top that time. And then after that second heat, we'll be able to identify exactly who's moving on to the invite class.
Yeah, our bump-up driver, if you will. And, of course, once those two are done, we have the overall times from both of those to figure out who that driver is going to be. They will no longer be in the open class. They will immediately be bumped up to that invite class.
Well, and there's a number of these drivers. I got to be honest with you, looking at this lineup, just in this heat race, there's more drivers that are capable of being in the invite class than we have spots to move up. So this is going to be exciting for sure. We got Creed Nally out there, Dennis Remington, Santos Rodriguez, Brandon Rose is going to be one to keep an eye on. Barry Rowe, Roxbury, Seth Van Dalen, if I'm not mistaken, was in the invite class last year. Joshua Vigil, Walker, Reggie Tung, and of course Camden Lime. Camden Lime making his way out from Arizona, the S-Works driver.
And one of those bump-up drivers from a year ago, as we talked about earlier. And it's so tough. I mean, a lot of people are like, how do you become an invite driver? I mean, there's so many worthy drivers. I would not want to be the person that tries to pick them out, but they do it as fairly as possible, and they do have some criteria that they work off of. They try to make it as fair as they can, but there's only so many positions here.
I'm with you on that one. I would not want to be that person, that's for sure. That's not an easy job, I'm sure.
As these puff of the fuel smoke out of those things. We're probably run them just a tick rich there. They don't want to hurt these engines today. That might be something, though, as we talk about fuel mileage, that they'll consider here. If you can lean them out a little bit and save a little bit of fuel and get them to go a little bit further. But whenever you do that, you also run the risk of sticking one.
You know, and I think when we get to the invite class, I got to be honest with you, $15,000 that could buy a lot of RC engines. So you may see these guys lean them way
get it to the
out.
End, though. I mean, it's okay if it's junk at the end. If it lasts the perfect amount of time, it's all good. But that is a fine line for sure. Of course, when you lean them out, you make some good power too. They'll make a little more steam, but they create more heat and eventually can hurt themselves. So it is a very fine line.
Well, we're looking here at Brandon Rose, one of those drivers that definitely want to keep an eye on, the S-Works driver as he works his way around. He is leading this one early on. His pace right now is 13 laps at 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Of course, that will still a lot of racing left to go, so I'm sure that will change. These are 6-minute races for these guys, and I don't know that fuel mileage is going to be an issue at 6 minutes, but definitely 7 minutes is really pushing it. We'll see if anybody has any issues here in this one. Joshua Vigil in that number 2 spot. Kicking it off early on here. Camden Lime in 3rd and Reggie Tung in the number 4 spot.
First lap time, by the way, that I've noticed is down in the 27-second range. So picking away at this thing. Track could be coming to them a little bit. We're getting better quality drivers out here. This is not an e-car. It's a nitro car. However, we saw the e-car times a year ago. Very competitive right with the nitro cars. As a matter of fact, I want to say a couple even a little bit quicker. So we'll see how things change here with this little bigger track, able to run more wide open throttle. So we'll see how the nitro cars stack up against the e-cars, but typically very close anyways. Very, very competitive both ways.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys, they'll run the e-buggy classes, not so much to be running them, but more so for a little extra track time, because a lot of times they got these cars set up pretty close to where it feels very similar, and they get a little extra track time for the nitro class, especially an event like this where the big money comes for the nitro class and not the electric class.
Brandon Rose, one of those young drivers that is really coming onto the scene here as well. Anticipating him being one of the bump-up drivers. We'll see if, in fact, he can close the deal out here. Of course, he has to get through this round and the next to do that. But off to a great start here so far. And, again, over that jump there, right down to the bottom of the turn, running a great line.
Yeah, Camden Lime, his teammate in the number 2 spot. Joshua Vigil in the 3. And according to, as I say, Reggie Tung, former NFL safety for the Kansas City Chiefs in that number 4 spot. Santos Rodriguez.
Probably has some pretty good hand-eye coordination, I think.
I've seen him out on the track corner marshal a car before. It came flipping and flying, and while with one hand he caught it, flipped it around, and threw it back on the track.
This is cheating.
Did total awe. He acted like it was nothing. I've never seen it done before.
I got that. Oh, one upside down there, bumping the throttle there, trying to get a little bit of help, and finally does. And that's the downtime. That's the stuff that can hurt you in this qualifying session, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Maybe it cost him a half a lap.
Absolutely, especially on a racetrack like this. One crash like that will really drop you back. It's hard to make that time back up. Good save right there for Brandon Rose. I believe this is going to be Camden Lime here, his teammate in that number 2 spot. Camden,
really. Go ahead.
Oh, Camden on the clock, I was just going to say, is only 1/10 of a second. His pace is only 1/10 of a second at this time, and now he's taken over the number 1 spot.
Brandon Rose right back at him.
There's Camden Lime on the driver's stand. Look at the trigger and throttle hand of Camden Lime just shaking. He is feeling the pressure right now.
What I find impressive here, much like in big car racing, it's one thing to go out and throw down a fast lap, but when you get around other drivers, it becomes much more difficult. And I noticed that's certainly the case here with RC racing. It happens to me immediately. I can be driving and doing just fine the second I get around another car, and it interrupts your view, your concentration.
Absolutely.
It's a game changer, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, not only is the track full of obstacles itself, but these guys are on the track with 10 other moving obstacles, being the other drivers that they got to factor in.
Yeah, and they will absolutely stuff it down underneath the other driver. I mean, they know exactly what they're doing. The opportunity to pass somebody they'll take full advantage of it there. Again, just nailing the bottom of that turn, the entry point there perfectly. Late apex there. And look how good that car rotates. I was watching a couple cars down in there, and they were really tight. They would push out wide and that left-hander. But again, watch that thing rotates so well down on the bottom. When he turns the wheel, man, it reacts immediately.
Camden Lime and Brandon Rose going back and forth for that number 1 spot. 0.6 of a second apart right now. We're looking at Camden Lime as he works his way through the infield. The S-Works driver. Got a little bit of traffic there. Works his way through that traffic. Again, this is each driver trying to set the fastest pace. When we get to our invite classes, those will be heads-up races. And these drivers right here in our open classes trying to work their way into the invite class. We got one more heat of open coming up after this one. We'll be able to determine our top qualifier for this round and who is going to the invite class. Right now, Camden Lime, he is trying to set that early fast pace with a 14-lap run at 6 minutes, 25 seconds.
Time has run out. Well, those two were so close the entire session, just back and forth. The teammates, how much information do you think they share in terms of setup? Or maybe it's just driver style. It's not something you're necessarily, maybe get you in the window, but then fine-tune your own car.
I was going to say, I got a feeling these guys, I know with Camden and Brandon, they probably share quite a bit of information together. But again, 2 different style of driving, so I'm sure each have kind of their own little tips and tricks that they're going to throw in their cars to suit their style. And it looks like Camden is going to get it. So Camden with a 14 at a 6:25 is going to take the win here in this one. So right now, he is going to be your top qualifier. As of right now, will he hold on to that? We've got one more open Nitro Buggy race to go after this one. Joshua Vigil finished in second. Reggie Tung moves up to third. Creed now, I did not see what happened to Brandon Rose.
Yeah, something happened to Brandon Rose there very late in that session.
May have been fuel. He may have ran out of fuel in that one.
Great point. So, yeah, as you can see there, 1 lap short, right?
Yeah. Tough luck there for Brandon Rose. He'll be back for round 2 for another shot at trying to work up into that invite class. There you see our qualifying results. And a good view of pit lane there as those drivers get them topped off. That is Jared Culley. Dad to Braxton Culley, the TLR driver, as they get set to go.
So if this group here, if they have a better overall qualifying stint here, they could actually bump Camden Line down or out of that bump spot, I should say.
That is correct. Yep. So as of right now, Camden is the fastest, but again, we got these 11 drivers coming up. If any one of these 11 drivers can set a faster pace than Camden, that driver will move on to the invite class. If not, Camden's going on to invite. There we're looking at Graham Hill.
Yeah, I saw it was kind of cool, too. I saw Brandon Rose just go down there to volunteer to help turn the cars over, so the drivers will leave the driver's stand, go down there, and then help their fellow drivers, turn the car back over if they have a moment.
Yep. There we're looking at, that's Shelby Parker, Miyako driver. He didn't want to be on camera, so he ducked down and hid from us.
Scott Brewer out there, and Braxton Culley, Josh Dill, Blake Everett, Caden Fuller. You mentioned Mason Fuller there before.
Yeah, Caden Fuller. There's Mike Fuller right there. Their dad pitting for Caden. Caden, the younger brother of Mason. Caden, another up-and-coming driver in the RC world. Number of drivers in this one that could very easily make their way into the invite class as well. So the time to beat is Camden Lime's 14 laps at 6 minutes, 25 seconds. That's what these guys are all shooting for here right now.
Yeah, I said something about Brandon Rose being a lap short. I mean, I ended up at 11 laps, versus the 14 laps. So, yeah, you do wonder what happened there, if it was a fuel issue, was not able to continue. Of course, as we talked about before, these guys, everybody leaving the pits there on the gas as hard as they can, but they want to try to rip out that extra lap if possible.
Yeah, and I got a feeling, talking about that first lap, when we get to the invite class, I got a feeling that first lap of those guys, with the way this track is shaping up, it's going to be an intense first lap, because those guys are going to be bumping and grinding, trying to get up in position so that they can get a good start early on.
So, Scotty Ernst, as we continue on here, you're with a man that's standing there on the bubble, hoping he can make it through one more time.
All right, thank you, guys. We're here with Camden Lime from Peoria, Arizona. It's a couple-step process here. Step one, throw down a good run. Yeah, all but the first lap is a pretty solid one.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a bobble. I told my buddy before the race I'm not going to wreck the whole run, but I might hit a tube, and I did it on the first lap. But after that, I ran 27s the whole race, which the invite guys are running 27s, and they're running a little bit of mid-27s. I was running low 27s, so I have the pace. So hopefully that will get me in the invite class. Sucks for my buddy Brandon. We had a good battle going, but I'm super excited. Already better than last year. I didn't even have the chance to talk to you, so it's already better than last year. It was good. My car was amazing. Super soft V2. Hard race tires were amazing, and yeah, it was good.
I said it's a two-step process. Step one, you drove. Now step two, sitting waiting for 6 minutes.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I wish I was in the second heat. Yeah, I got to wait here for 6 minutes to see if I get that $1,000 check.
All right, we'll see if we're interviewing you again here soon.
Hopefully.
All right, there you go. Back to you, Ken and Mike.
Hey, Scotty, if you can still hear me, I'd be curious if you know what happened to Brandon there and why he ended up so short, because he was right there in the fray with Camden coming into the very end of that session. Let's see if we can grab that info a little bit later on. We'll see if Scotty can help us out with that.
Well, these guys getting underway here for this one, our second heat of Open Nitro Buggy for round one.
Start ripping off some lap times here, already down into the low 28s, as we just heard Camden reference mid-27s to low 27s, so that's where the players will need to be, and of course that's what he'll be intently watching. So whoever it is that's going to beat him here is going to have to be on their marks.
Absolutely, and there we talk about young Caden Fuller coming out lap number one with a 27.7. He's going to be leading this one.
Yeah, and I remember Caden Fuller doing a great job. Matter of fact, if I recall, was actually beating his brother, his older brother, a year ago. So, I mean, this kid certainly can get it done. Oh.
We'll let him get a few laps in here. We'll see where they sort themselves out. Ethan Mechanic going to be another one to keep an eye on. Garrett Martin, Braxton Culley, Graham Hill, Shelby Parker all in this one. Caden Fuller leading this one. And there's the trouble right there, is Caden trying to work his way through traffic. Oh!
And that's that rebound. That's that that step down, as you were talking about. They land so hard. If you try to get the dampers set up for that so the car will squat a little bit and not rebound, come bounce back up off the ground, if you will. But to chase that setup for that one spot could affect the whole rest of the track.
Yeah, it's definitely a give and take, and definitely is going to play a part here in this one as we're working our way around. I believe this is going to be Ethan Mechanic now. Ethan Mechanic, I think, is leading the way here. Garrett Martin in second.
Open Nitro Buggy heat number 2. Camden Line is in position to bump up right now and pick up a cool $1,000. Would be the first of our 4 bump ups. Car looks like it's flying nicely right there. Fuller currently in second. Cully in third. That's Caden Fuller, by the way, and Braxton Cully. And Caden Fuller again down in the mid-27s.
Ethan, right now, his pace is a 13-lap pace at 6 minutes and 2 seconds. So he's not quite on the 14-lap pace.
Lap short, right?
Yeah, so right now, Camden Lime, I got a feeling he is all smiles up on the driver's stand right now. Oh, big mistake right there for Ethan Mechanic, as that was Caden Fuller making the pass on him. So Caden Fuller in the number 2 spot here, trying to work his way back up.
Nice smooth rotation there, and that left-hander out of the throttle just a little bit under control.
Spencer Heckert jumping his way up to the number 3 spot, another S-Works driver.
And as we talked about with the 4 bump-up drivers, it's important to note this because you will have the 3 overall winners here that will bump up, and then the next fastest in line will be our 4th and final bump-up. So you want, point being is you want to keep charging, even if you're not the winner here.
Absolutely.
You know, you want to keep going. You want to end up being that 4th in line. So just keep digging.
Well, Ethan Mechanic out front right now. They're showing his pace at a 13.602. So 13 laps in 6 minutes, 2 seconds. He needs to shave about 3 seconds off to jump onto that 14-lap run. Caden Fuller in that 2 spot. Spencer Heckert in the 3 spot. Braxton Coley up to 4. Spencer Klein in 5th.
Mechanic still hanging on to that number 1 spot. Fuller much, much closer now. But not quite good enough to be number 1 here overall. We'll see how things shake out. Have another crack at it, of course.
Well,
go in with some confidence.
Ethan for sure has the speed to run that pace that Camden had. I just don't know if it's going to happen in this round. With only a minute 15 seconds left to go. He's still on a 13.602. That doesn't sound like a lot of time to make up. You need to make up 3 seconds. But on a track like this, I just don't know where he's going to find that 3 seconds, especially if he has any more bobbles, mistakes, or even running into traffic. So I got a feeling Camden Lyon may be moving on to the invite class after this one.
No, Ethan Mechanic laying down at 27.35. So that lap time, as we heard Camden talk about, low 27s there is very impressive. Right there on target, as you say. But you've got to combine it for the entire session, string them all together. And as you also indicate, 3 seconds doesn't sound like a lot in terms of normal life, but out here in racing, 3 seconds is an eternity. I mean, you can find a 10th here, you can find a 10th there. So to make up maybe a half second or something, that's one thing, but 3 seconds is all but impossible.
Ethan working his way around. Caden Fuller still in the number 2 spot. Spencer Heckert in 3rd. Spencer Klein in 4th. Braxton Cully in that number 5 spot, followed by Hill Givens, Everett Parker, Martin, Vigil, and Brewer.
Clock ticking down here. We finish up this session, and we'll see if Camden Line was certainly looking good for him. Oh, big moment there.
And I believe that may have been Ethan Mechanic that just got caught up in all that. I could be mistaken. There's Spencer Heckert, the red, white, and blue. Right there behind him, I think, is Braxton Coley in the green and yellow.
Yeah, and again, it's so critical here for that overall. And at the end of the day, I mean, you still want to be as close as possible. You might not win any of these, but you could still be in line.
And it looks like Caden Fuller on the last lap will take it. So as you say, that is not enough. Camden Lime is going on to the invite class, but Caden Fuller with that 13.602, that's still potentially a a ticket to the invite in the end of this if he is the fourth fastest guy.
And a lap time of 27.25. I mean,
He's
very,
moving.
very impressive. So certainly the speed is there. If he can come out there and put that combination together for the entire session, certainly capable of bumping in.
Absolutely. So Fuller's going to take that one. Mechanic second, Heckert third, Spencer Klein fourth, and Braxton Culley fifth.
As you talked about, Mechanic getting caught up into that session there towards the end of that session really hurt him as well. So that'll finish things up there. Camden Line has to be very happy. They're writing a name on that check right now for $1,000. Congrats to him. He'll be buying dinner tonight.
I was just getting ready to say, where are we going for dinner? It's on Camden. Well, there you see our qualifying results. It's Fuller, Mechanic, Heckert, Klein, Culley, your top five for that heat. Gibbons, Hill, Everett, Martin, and Vigil. Rest of the crew finishing up there. For Open Nitro Buggy here for our 2023 Visions RC at Mid-America. Well, there it is, the $1,000 check.
Good handwriting there as well. Creative. That's one you want to hang on the wall. That's pretty cool. And once again, Scotty Ernst is with our Camden Lime. And Scotty, also curious because his teammate Brandon Rose was right there in the thick of it with him. Would love to know what happened to Brandon.
All right, we are here with Camden Line. Camden, you said last year we didn't even get to talk at all. Now this is our second one. Congratulations, taking round one with the win.
Yeah, it feels really good. I've been driving like super good this year itself, and I think most of the top guys have been seeing me coming up the leaderboard pretty progressively over this year, and hopefully now I get to go battle it out with them and show them that I belong in that class.
We talked a few minutes ago here, that long 6-minute wait. You're up here pacing, looking at your phone, looking at results, wondering. That was a long 6 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I knew I put on a really good run. Like, I only ran 27s the whole race besides one lap, and I was watching the invite guys, and they were running 27s and 28s. So I knew I put in a really solid run, and I'm excited to go battle it out with them now.
All right, now we got a big moment here. We got Joey Christensen here from the dirt, the track man. He's got a big check to present to you, $1,000 here from the Open for TQ in the first round. $1,000. That's a first for you winning that kind of big money at an RC race.
Can't go wrong with $1,000 in your pocket on the first qualifier. Yeah, it's awesome. This place is awesome. The track, the facility, everything you can do. It's just a good time, and I will always be coming back until it's never here. So.
All right, best of luck. You got to turn this around, though, because you're in the first round of the invite. Best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Camden throwing the big check here. Yeah, big round of applause. Camden taking a win here. $1,000 in his pocket. Now he's up running with the big dogs. It's a whole nother step in his young career, but he's got the skills to pay the bills and see if he'll be able to run with these guys in round one of invite. Back to you, Ken and Mike.
Thanks, Scotty. I love it. The skills to pay the bills earns that ticket into the invite. Congratulations to him and that $1,000. We'll take a quick break here. Once again, we'll be back with plenty more racing action here at the 2023 Visions RC Nationals.
Lightweight, agile, and strong, the Pitbull is perfect for the job. The Pitbull is the first and only lift that can be used in the pits and in your garage. Elevate your racing with a Handy.
You're watching Speed Sport 1, your home for great off-road racing from America and around the globe. Woo-hoo-hoo! From Ultra 4 to rallies.
These guys are fighting for the lead.
It seems very aggressive.
Short course to desert race.
Great move there. He is so fast.
Whether on 2 wheels or 4, Speed Sport 1 has the off-road action you crave.
Look at that move. Jumps to the inside.
Speed Sport 1, the Motorsports Network.
And once again, we welcome you back here to the 2023 Visions RC Nationals here. A-Main Hobbies and HPI Racing helping us out. Also supporting is Tenkin, VP Fuels, Team Associated, and Live Time. Our event sponsors, Can-Am, Rugged Radios, AMSOIL, Project X, and Raceline Wheels here for Visions. So we appreciate all of our partners and what they bring to the table here, the support, and certainly want to take care of them and give them some love back as we take a look at that track. Congratulations to Camden Lime. First bump up from the open category into the invite category. Look at some of the banners there and some of the competitors there as we give you some scenic shots here from Mid-America Outdoors. We're in Jay, Oklahoma, just about an hour or so outside of Tulsa. Mike, how long was the drive for you?
It's actually not too bad. Only about a 3-hour drive to get down here, and I got to say, I never thought only 3 hours away would be a facility quite like this.
Yeah, it's and just continues to grow. 1,600 acres here. They have another place called Paradise. I want to say Miami Paradise, something like that they call it. Another 800 acres that they're working with. Here's some highlights of what we've seen here so far today, but plenty of action here, some qualifying heats. We've also had a couple of practice sessions. Saw the invite drivers come out here and throw down a little bit as well. Gave everybody a benchmark on time. And then Camden Lime came out here and said, man, they were running mid-27s. I'm running low 27s. I feel like I can hang with the invite drivers, and certainly proved his worth as he will be the first one to bump in.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see him in the invite class. Of course, we've got several more drivers we're going to see bump up in there as well. Some good shots here of Caden Fuller in that second open heat. I believe that there is Scott Brewer, if I'm not mistaken, as he works his way around the racetrack. Ethan Mechanic as well.
And a beautiful look at that track that Joey Christensen and the Dirt Crew put together. A lot of work out there. It's taken them a long time, but it is gorgeous, and, of course, a lot of prep as well with the paint to really highlight the racing line. It's a very, very nice job. All the starting positions that have to be measured out perfectly. It is a ton of work here that the Dirt Crew puts in the effort. We appreciate all they do.
And there's the Dirt Crew right there. Joey Christensen on the right, Aaron Webb on the left. Those two have built some of the most phenomenal racetracks and put on some of the biggest races in the country over well over several decades here in the RC industry.
I'm sure they appreciate the little bit cooler temperatures as well.
I'm sure they do. I am sure they do.
So we were racing here all day one day ago. We actually started on Tuesday with the side-by-side racing. So Mid-America Outdoors has a side-by-side series. They have a ton of different classes, something here for everybody from youth right on up into the Pro NAs. That's a Pro NA right there. I see Owen Van Eperen, current points leader in the number 5 car, but something out here for everybody. Chase Carr there as well was throwing down, doing a great job. We had a great race out here in the Pro NAs. Normally aspirated is what the NA stands for, and a big moment there, as you can see. And then we also have the Pro Turbos as well that come out here, and a good look at that. The number 17 car there of Corey Willis, Cody Martin out there. That was Hunter Miller, who was making his way from the second to last row. Plenty of annex going on for sure, and some great racing as well. Kyle Chaney was a class of the field here just one day ago as they got in their first race of the weekend. They will be racing again tonight. The pros will kick off here. We'll bring out the Pro NA, the Pro Turbos, and the Pro Light trucks. Will kick the action off here at 6 o'clock. Speaking of the Pro Lights, there's a look at them right there. Kanan Baker and Johnny Holter got together there just a little bit as they were scrapping in race number 1. So a lot of racing that has gone on here this week. Some prep and some groom going on. They use the same track that the Nitro cars are practicing on here today. Unfortunately, Mother Nature, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast here, came in on Tuesday night, and I mean just beat us to death. We just got hammered. So no racing action happened on Wednesday. They were planning on running the first race on Wednesday, but this track would have been absolutely destroyed, and millions have been spent to create it. So we just had to let it dry. And much like Mother Nature made it wet, she came back out with some beautiful sunshine on Wednesday. It was a perfect track come Thursday, but unfortunately we lost a round of racing there for a lot of the sportsman competitors and youth competitors there on Wednesday.
Well, and yesterday we got to see some of the Nitro Cross cars out on the track. Of course, we saw the electric cars out on the track as well, and very similar to the RC scene. You got the gas-powered cars, and then you got the electric-powered cars, and it was pretty interesting to see on a full-scale range. I'd never been up close and personal with any of the electric race cars on a full-scale side, and it actually sounded very similar on the racetrack. You could hear every rock and every gear and everything grinding just like you can with these RC cars.
Very, very cool, for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of great action coming your way, but we're going to take about a 10-minute break here and pause for the cause, if you will. We have a lot of action coming your way, though, so we would urge you to do the same. Get up, stretch out, maybe grab something to eat or something to drink. Keep an eye on us here. We will be back in just a short amount of time. Again, just taking a quick little 10-minute breather here for the entire crew, and we'll come back with some great RC racing.
Connect with the Wild is about off-roading with your buddies. Connect with the Wild is about going to Moab and conquering new challenges that you didn't think were possible. Ultimately, Connect with the Wild is about enjoying the outdoors in your vehicle as best you can. We're treating it like we know it's something special that everyone will remember.
Watching Speed Sport 1, your home for great American grassroots racing.
It's time to rumble!
Whether you're into sprint cars or stock cars,
At the line!
modifieds or midgets,
Down to the low side, retake the lead!
dirt late models or demolition derby,
Oh!
Speed Sport 1 has the grassroots action you love.
Are you kidding me?
Speed Sport 1, the Motorsports Network.
Amsoil runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Lightweight, agile, and strong, the Pit Bull is perfect for the job. The Pit Bull is the first and only lift that can be used in the pits and in your garage. Elevate your racing with a Handy.
Sport has been America's motorsports authority since 1934. Get news, results, and commentary from the most connected experts in the business, covering all forms of motorsports from flat track to NASCAR and everything in between. Bookmark speedsport.com on your mobile device now, or follow Speed Sport on social, and be sure to subscribe to the Speed Sport Daily. Speed Sport is your one-stop shop for all things racing on two wheels and four.
Amsoil runs on freedom and has since 1972. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. Run with us.
At 360 Wraps, we've been working hard to transform the vehicle wrap industry. Wherever you are, we're standing by to show you the professionalism you deserve. With a dedicated account manager, you'll always feel confident and in control the entire time. Providing nationwide service to the top brands in the industry, our team will confidently handle any project you give them. One contact, one company, nationwide service. Come by to experience the 360 difference for yourself.
Connect with the Wild is about off-roading with your buddies. Connect with the Wild is about going to Moab and conquering new challenges that you didn't think were possible. Ultimately, Connect with the Wild is about enjoying the outdoors in your vehicle as best you can. We're treating it like we know it's something special that everyone will remember.
Lightweight, agile, and strong, the Pitbull is perfect for the job. The Pitbull is the first and only lift that can be used in the pits and in your garage. Elevate your racing with a Handy.
And we welcome you back here to the 2023 Visions RC Nationals, brought to you by A-Main Hobbies and HPI Racing. We have our open e-buggy competitors up on the platform, and some of the big names that are here: Seth Van Dalen, Joe Bornhorst, Ty Tessman, Mason Fuller, Jared Wiggins, Adam Drake, Ryan Mayfield, Spencer Rivkin, Jared Tebow, Cole Ogden, Dakota Finn, Fee Long Wen, and Brandon Rose, all ready to throw down here in this session, the biggest names in the industry.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of our invite drivers from our Nitro classes out here in our e-buggy classes, as you just mentioned. They're looking at, I believe that is Ty Tessman, if I'm not mistaken.
That left brain, right brain right there going on.
Yes.
Pat your head and rub your stomach type of thing, right? I mean, one running the steering, the other one running the throttle and brakes, of course. And so explain again, I go back to that controller. When you're running the throttle, you pull it one way, it's accelerating. You push it the other way, it's brakes, correct?
That is correct, yep. And these guys can, the amount of time that it takes their brain to go from one to the other and have precision control is absolutely amazing. I mean, these guys are phenomenal at what they do, and we're about to find that out here as this race gets underway.
And so let me ask you another question going into brakes. Now, with an e-car like this, I would think that maybe the engine could serve as a brake. When you go to the Nitro version, do they actually have a brake system?
Yes, they do. So the Nitro cars, compared to the electric cars, actually have a front and rear brake system in which you can adjust the amount of front brake and rear brake that you want. You can have different brake bias either way. Most of these electric cars do not. What they have is just basically you can set the amount of brake through the electric motor that you want.
Right.
But it's not adjustable front and rear. It's all the way around, whereas, like I say, on the Nitro cars, you can adjust them front, rear, and that kind of thing. And that is a big thing on some of these tracks. You'll see a lot of these drivers, especially with these 180s, they'll throw in a little more rear brake to get that rear end to slide around and things like that.
Set the car, yeah.
Yeah, and a whole other tuning option available there for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, very interesting stuff for sure. Didn't even think about that, as I recall, a year ago. But, yeah, with the electric motor, you can use that to just generally slow the platform down the second you get out of the throttle. Naturally, it's going to pull it down. But with the Nitro cars, a good bit different, and another adjustable, situation there on those cars. I mean, it's just infinite, much like a big car, if you will.
Absolutely, absolutely. 2 minutes into this one, Spencer Rivkin, the team associated driver out of Arizona, going to be leading us out here in open e-buggy. Spencer Rivkin there in the signature paint scheme on the left side of the track there, the J Concepts driver. Coming into the infield there. Looks like now Dakota Finn, the TLR driver, taking over the number 1 spot from him.
Getting after it. Of course, we touched base on that a little bit earlier with Spencer Rivkin out of Surprise, Arizona, which, by the way, was a home of a short course off-road track for a long time, a very, very exciting one at that, but finished up 6th overall 1 year ago in the invite category for the 3A mains. Finished up on the podium in the first one in 3rd place, so had some good success out here. Of course, I don't know that any of those notes work here this year with this track being completely different, not only in design, but consistency of dirt as well.
Well, you're talking about the short course truck track there in Surprise, Arizona. 2009, Joey Christensen actually had his major race, the Dirt Nitro Challenge, his RC race at the Fear Farm at the Nitro Pit, right there right next to the big truck track. So
it was one of the most exciting they actually had moguls there at that short course track rather than a rhythm section, and to watch the Pro 2s and the Pro 4s go through there, and the suspension work was like no other track on the planet. It was incredible. Then the Pro Lights went through there, and I don't think there were any trucks left.
Well, Dakota Finn leading the way here in this one. He's got a 0.4 of a second lead over Spencer Rivkin in that number 2 spot. Brandon Rose, who we just saw, just falls short of bumping up into the invite in the Nitro class. He's sitting 3rd with Mayfield 4th, and Joe Bornhorst in the number 5 spot.
Yeah, and worth mentioning here, if you've been with us following along here this morning, we welcome you. We thank you. Hope you're enjoying what we're bringing to you. It's great pictures. Video crew doing a wonderful job. Track beautiful. The racers, of course, second to none. World-class ranked stuff. But Camden Line was the first one to bump in from our open class into the invite category. He was talking about how the pros, the world-ranked guys, were running mid-27s. He said, I was running low 27s. I was wondering if the track was developing developing, coming along. We'll take a look at it now because the pros are out here. They're running mid-26s now. So they're going to show up every single time. But certainly something is changing out here, and I would have to lean towards the condition of this track as it works in. You talked about it before. There's some fluff up on the top. They'll start to blow that off and get some good grip. Yeah, look at the Dakota Finn here as he makes his way around. He's got Mason Fuller, the HB Racing driver, right there behind him. Mason holding pace right now with Dakota. Mason sitting in the number 9 spot. But right now I think he's just latching on to Dakota, trying to use this race here. May not be Mason's best race, but trying to use this to his advantage. Maybe see where Dakota's picking up some time on him and find some lines that he hadn't found just yet. Dakota Finn out front with 1:04 left to go here in this one. Yeah, just a couple of those left-handers, and you could see the gap grow right there, just how close to perfect you need to be. So Dakota Finn just a little bit quicker here. And then, of course, combining that with the consistency that all of these guys seem to have is nothing short of exceptional. Watching that landing right there, and again, a quick rebound, bounces it up in the air and rotates it into the right-hander as we continue to watch the Phenom make it look so easy. It is anything but. That's what the pros always do. Oh! And just like that, the session is over. So intently watching the car. Dakota mid-race decides I'm going to go the other way. There you see Dakota's wife, Chloe Finn, picking up the car there. Well, there's our results here from Open e-buggy heat number 1. Dakota Finn takes it 1 second ahead of Spencer Rivikin in the number 2 spot. Ryan Mayfield 3rd, Joe Bornhorst 4th, Brandon Rose 5th, Ty Tessman, Jared Tebow, Mason Fuller, Jared Wiggins, Adam Drake. Your top 10. Fee Long Win, Cole Ogden, and Seth Van Dalen not here this weekend. And once again, Scotty is hard after it. There's a couple of Class 11 cars up there having some fun. The VWs are always a hoot for sure. But in the meantime, Scotty Ernst, you've been down there working hard, and I believe you're standing there with the Phenom. And it sounds like, unfortunately, once again, there are some technical issues with Scotty. We'll see if we can get that sorted out and get it back down there to Dakota. As once again we watch these Class 11 cars, you know, they go out and run in the desert. They run Baja with those cars. They are bone stock VWs. They compete at Crandon on the short course there. The fans absolutely love them. We had pros in them last year. Pros, and they have co-drivers in them, believe it or not. So one of them went for a pretty big ride at Crandon. Those things, they love to roll. Once they start rolling, they keep rolling. So it's pretty incredible. But the fans love them, and the competitors have just as much personality as those cars do. It's great to watch the Class 11. And what we're hearing is, Scotty Ernst, you're back, brother, down there with Dakota Finn.
All right, thank you, guys. We're here with Dakota Finn after his win there in that run. Obviously, e-buggy is not the big focus. Nitro is, but tell our viewers, can you take anything from what you ran there in e-buggy and transfer it to your Nitro car?
Yeah, 100%. E-buggy is pretty similar setup-wise to Nitro buggy, so we're able to kind of do a little bit of testing, changing in e-buggy, and then transfer that over to the Nitro buggy pretty smoothly, and then also just tires as well. So it's good having e-buggy first. We can do just a little bit of testing with the car and tires, and make sure the Nitro buggy is dialed in.
Sounds good. I know you got a thrash. Go get them.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Here at Dakota Finn. They're pretty busy. They're clipping along. They got e-buggy. They got to get their Nitro cars ready for the first round of invite. So they're keeping them busy here at Visions. Back to you, Ken and Mike.
Thanks a lot, Scotty. Yeah, they do get very busy here. Get our next class out here. They're on their warm-up session. Open e-buggy here once again.
And this one here, we got a couple more drivers to keep an eye on. A lot of these drivers we saw in our open classes. Got Braxton
Open
Coley.
Nitro category,
yeah,
right?
Open,
Yes.
Yep, Open Nitro, yep. Braxton Coley, Ethan Mechanic, Garrett Martin, Creed Nally, Jonathan Noon, Spencer Klein, Reggie Tung, Camden Lime, who we saw, there's Camden right there, back on the track once again.
Yeah, pretty interesting to listen to Dakota Finn say how similar these cars are and that they can go back and put some of that setup on the Nitro car. You had also mentioned that as well, Mike. I'm curious if there's a weight difference between the electric cars and the Nitro cars. Typically these things weigh in about 7 pounds, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a really good question. I know it's going to vary between manufacturers. Some of the manufacturers basically have the same platform with just very little configuration differences, and then other platforms like, for instance, Techno RC, they have a Nitro platform, electric platform, and the cars are quite a bit different compared to, like some of the other brands